Border case continues next month. Guyana eradicates polio. And more local content master plans submitted. I am Rico Bulford, and this is Uncut News. News in what's happening? Send us a tip on WhatsApp at 592-659-6151. The ICJ will hear submissions from both Guyana and Venezuela on the latter nation's objections to the border controversy case, in which Guyana is seeking a final and binding judgment to ascertain its territorial boundaries. Venezuela ultimately entered the case earlier this year, submitting objections to the substantive hearing, after first declining to participate in the proceedings before the World Court in 2018. In June of this year, Venezuela filed preliminary objections to the admissibility of the border case before the ICJ, arguing that Guyana should not have brought the case and that the United Kingdom should have done so, since it had signed the 1899 arbitral award with Venezuela defining Guyana's borders, whilst it was still a colony of Great Britain. In light of Venezuela's objections, the World Court has invited both nations, that is, Guyana and Venezuela, to make submissions on those issues raised. Those hearings have been set for the period of November 17th to the 22nd, 2022. Attorney Tamika Clark was detained by SOCU this morning. The arrest appears to have been as a result of her advising her client to use his constitutional right to silence, and comes after earlier this week's threat to arrest the attorney at law if her client did not provide a statement to the police over a case they are currently investigating. The Bar Association of Guyana denounces the actions and requests that the Commissioner of Police extend an apology to Attorney Clark, make up for her unjustified detention, conduct a thorough investigation into the incident, and take disciplinary action, including terminating any officers who knew about this and permitted this type of behavior. The Guyana Association of Women Lawyers also denounced the action. The Police Office of Professional Responsibility has since opened an investigation into the matter. According to Fire Prevention Officer Sheldon Sons, the fire that damaged the China Star store in Ledum Region 9 on September 3rd of this year was deliberately lit. The massive fire that destroyed the structure left 2 people homeless, 10 more out of work, and tens of millions of dollars in damage. Following complaints from individuals experiencing difficulties with the NIS in relation to reimbursements for payment of dialysis treatment, Minister Ashni Singh met with the agency's management on Thursday and gave clear instructions that the $600,000 grant provided by the government and announced in its 2022 budget was additional support for dialysis patients and should never be used as a basis for denying them coverage. During a discussion with the NIS management on the subject, Minister Singh gave unambiguous directions that the NIS cease this practice immediately. The de facto finance minister called the scenario bizarre, noting that it was never the government's aim to have people in such a situation. While the Ministry of Human Services and Social Security amends the Domestic Violence Act to apply stricter measures to combat gender-based violence, initiatives such as abuse perpetrator rehabilitation services will be implemented in 2023. Services such as therapy and anger management are among them, as it is a proven fact that many abusers were also the victims of abuse themselves at some point in their lives. Minister Vindhya Prasad stated that the ministry is considering renaming the act the Family Violence Act instead of the Domestic Violence Act, which would be used in conjunction with other pieces of law. She believes that the new legislation's other provisions will address the main gaps that now exist in Guyana's laws regarding the subject. Minister Prasad stated in September that there are 40 suggested revisions to the statute. Other types of abuse, such as economic, emotional, and psychological assault, will be included, and penalties for violating protective orders will be updated. The Ministry of Human Services and Social Security also announced that it was investigating an alleged incident involving a male and female inmate at the Hugo Chavez Rehabilitation Center in West Berbice. According to a statement posted on the ministry's Facebook page yesterday, a report was filed to the Guyana Police Force, and the incident is presently being investigated. It might not be robbery season, but the streets are still mean. That's why you need to get security for your home and business through Sheriff Security Service. Sheriff Security offers well-trained guards, armed and unarmed patrol, marine patrol, canine services. These people even got drones. Why? Because your security is their highest priority. You've seen the rest. Now hire the best. Hire Sheriff Security Service today. Now it's time to tell you about Best Buy's Car of the Month. Currently on sale is the 2016 Toyota Crown Athlete. It comes with Bluetooth mount rims, new tires, TV, CD, stereo, fog lamps, back camera, and much, much more. Buy cash for $9.95 million. All pay as low as $1.99 million down, with around $170,000 monthly for 5 years, and it is yours. Call or WhatsApp 662-0844 for more info. Or visit the showrooms at Lot 171 Bureau Street, Queenstown, or Lot 2 Lama Street, and tell them Enrico sent you for this sweet deal. The polio virus has basically been eradicated in Guyana as a consequence of aggressive vaccination campaigns for children and the achievement of high coverage goals throughout the nation. Dr. Frank Anthony said that in 2021, the country's inactivated poliovirus vaccination, coverage, was an impressive 98%. In 2018 and 2019, the percentage of coverage was 94 and 97% respectively. In other health news, the JPHC Intensive Care Unit is nearing the completion of a procedure that would allow the institution to label patients brain dead and allow for organ transplantation. Anesthesiologist Dr. Onika Higgins-Gill told the newsroom that the procedure was devised after multiple consultations and that the department is now nearing completion of the brain dead process. She explained that the primary delay was just getting it compliant and comparing it to other first world countries to verify that what we're doing is up to international standards. They're presently in the process of conferring inside the department and completing the submission to the administration. The protocol is being developed in keeping with the Human Organ and Tissue Transplant Act, which was passed in the National Assembly in January of this year, and provides a legal framework for the removal of human organs, tissues, cells, and biofluids for transplantation and blood transfusion. The body of a 28-year-old mother of 3 who had gone missing on Sunday last was discovered at the seawall in Iceland. She has been identified as Esther Sudan. Her husband had just reported her missing on Wednesday, and last Monday the police discovered the woman's naked body. However, the police were not aware of her identity when her remains were found. Sudan's husband went to a police station on Wednesday to report her missing. Around 9 that evening on Sunday, he said that she had been drinking at home, and when they argued, she grew irate and left the home with the bottle in hand, only to find out that she had died. To find out how Sudan had passed away, the police have arranged an autopsy. 44-year-old farmer Fazil Osman will be sentenced next Thursday for the brutal cutlass attack he had launched on his reputed wife in 2019. A sentencing hearing has been deferred until next week because Osman has disputed information that he had previously been charged for abusing a former partner and her toddler. Earlier this month, during his arraignment in the Demerara High Court, Osman had pleaded guilty to the attempted murder of his reputed wife. Kanu officers apprehended 59-year-old Ignatius Mann at the Rubis gas station on Mandela Avenue in East Penitent on October 25th. A later search of the man and his motorcycle turned up a large amount of cannabis. Further investigations led them to his home in Prashad Nagar, where they discovered a further quantity of cannabis. A total of 174.8 grams were discovered. Man is now being held by the police. Exxon, Saipem, and Gulf Engineering Services 5-year master plans were authorized by the Natural Resources Ministry. The 5-year master plan is designed to give the ministry and local content secretariat a knowledge of the contractor, subcontractor, or licensee's expected actions in terms of hiring, procurement, and capacity development of Guyanese suppliers. Importantly, these plans contain an adjustment that assures Guyanese petroleum suppliers are paid within 30 to 45 days after receiving the right invoice. The Local Content Act makes this plan enforceable by law. The 3 join a list of more than 20 oil and gas support firms whose master plans have been authorized by the government. Attention truck owners, if you're not shopping at Powered Automotive, you're wasting your money. Powered Automotive has all the major parts for all models of DAF, Freightliner, Mach, International, and more. No need to knock your belly here. They have all the parts you need at prices you can afford. Visit them at Lot 491 EE Eccles or call or WhatsApp them on telephone number 697-0171. Save big on truck parts at Powered Automotive, the #1 heavy-duty truck parts store in Guyana. As an independent online news entity, being politically objective can cost you a lot of money in lost sponsorship opportunities. That's because most local companies are often too scared to associate themselves with a news entity that is uncompromising with the truth. We do appreciate our sponsors, as their support is what has allowed us to maintain our integrity without fear and remain dedicated to you, our viewers. Every night, thousands of viewers rely on Uncut News because they are tired of the biased and poorly presented mainstream media in Guyana. But to truly compete, we need your help to grow Uncut News from being the most watched online news to the most watched news in Guyana, period. Help us by becoming a monthly subscriber today. There are special rewards at every subscription level, including your name in the credits, personalized gifts, and more. Your monthly contribution helps us to stay independent by spending less time worrying about paying the bills and more time on keeping you informed. So click the link in the description of this video and become a subscriber today. You can multiply your cash by selling digital top-up. This is a legit way you can earn some extra money at your business or to supplement your current hustle. Become a top-up vendor quick and easy by linking with Cellular Plus. Call them on telephone number 685-3109 for more info. Now for our Uncut News Views Poll Question of the Day. Every day we pose a question about current events in Guyana, the region, the diaspora, and how you feel it relates to us. Last night I asked, how do you feel about the constitutional reform efforts? Dimitri V says, I definitely need to learn more about the constitutional reform, but I'm glad they're making efforts to change it, because a lot of laws in Guyana are outdated. Indeed, that's true. The realist one says, I believe the public needs to be educated a bit more so they understand what their rights are, as most Guyanese are ignorant of the laws and their rights. Indeed, I agree. You're also right about the ticketing idea. We've got loads of good ideas here. The government just needs to implement them. And finally, Guy Bryan says that he too needs to know more about the reform. Indeed. So, I will make it my duty to learn as much as I can and try to share as much as I can with you all. Now for tonight's question. The Ministry of Human Services and Social Security is currently offering rehabilitative services for the perpetrators of abuse. But what suggestions would you give them to prevent abuse from happening in the first place? I want you to think about that question. Tell us in the comments below. If your response is good enough, we just might feature it in our next episode. Anyway, that's all the time we have for tonight, and check us out on Monday for another. Until then, I'm Enrico Bullfoot saying, have a great weekend. And as always, don't drink and drive, or you'll end up on Monday's episode the hard way. Ha! Good night, folks.